Rising, everybody, and welcome to today's show, Behind the Curtain with Adi and Ran. Today we have a special guest, calligraphy artist, Rie Takeda. Hi, Rie.
Hi, thank you for inviting me. Good to be here.
Thank you for coming on. I was just saying before that I saw your website by chance and decided to contact you and was very pleased to get a reply.
Oh, meant to be, right?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
What I do, I'm artist and calligrapher. So I create artworks, calligraphy pieces, but at the same time, I'm qualified teacher. So I teach the art of shodo, Japanese calligraphy. So I've been teaching more than 20 years now.
Wow.
So that's another profession, and I love them both. Right. So that's what I do.
Can you explain the principles of shodo? I saw on your site, shodo is peace and leads you to peace and harmony.
You got the key word already. No, that's like the comment I made, because that I believe, and that's the sort of the element I like to come across to all the learners and students when I teach. The sho is to write or to calligraph or calligraphy, and do is the way, the path, or one could say the Tao in this philosophy. And shodo is the art of calligraphy or beautiful writing. And so it's not only the techniques that you learn through shodo, but you learn to calm yourself and also to reach a transparent mind while you do practice calligraphy. And that's the element I really focus on when I teach. And that's why I said at the end of the course or session, it leads you a peace and peaceful, harmonious moment. I mean, the details, we have to go quite deep, but that's the sort of overview about the shodo and the element I love about shodo, the calligraphy.
I heard the word transparent, or I read it on your website.
Right.
What is the meaning behind that?
You could say it's mushin. It's the state that your mind is free from any thoughts or disturbance or daily routine.
Yeah.
So often when the body and mind get together as one, you have this very calm, transparent moment. And that's the mushin moment. I like to sort of bring that as a main sort of element when I introduce the art of calligraphy and when I teach students. So one could have it through the meditation, or one have that transparent mind maybe when you play music or when they do cooking. So you are in that moment totally and fully. And that's the sort of the image I want you to maybe envisage as a transparent mind. I know it's very abstract, but in the shodo, this becomes visible on the paper every moment of that moment. So that's why I find it's fascinating when I teach Shodo. The process becomes instantly visible on the paper. So I know it's abstract, but that's the process I like to always bring across
And
to students.
How does focus play a role in that?
Well, the key is always physically relax. So your body have to be totally comfortable and relaxed from the tension or the stress. So I do sort of easy exercise to release the tension. And then in my way, I let the student rub the ink. So creating the ink. So sorry, I haven't got it, but that's the process. The mind also get relaxed and get freer from the stress and the daily routine. Because it's not only our body, our mental side has also the pressure and stress, right? So I try to ask them and let them go with that stress and routine. And then you are arriving here and now, and then we can start practicing. And there are technical sort of the templates and exercises I use when they do the brush and warming up preparation. So that's more like the process, how they could see their body and mind coming closer, and also calming down. And then I would normally continue with a template to practice, and then practice the details. That's the process. I mean, I don't want to bore you with the whole sort of technical process.
It's really fascinating.
I mean, the mental body part, relaxation of it, that's the key. I find, I really believe that's...
And do you ever have students that they are very anxious type of people? Maybe they've experienced some traumas in their life, and they have a hard time relaxing the nervous system. And also with the bombardment that we have with the internet, with cell phones, with everything else. Specifically those type of people that like high anxiety people. Do you find that how do you work with them, and what has your experience been with them?
Often, I mean, it's just different in every case, but often they got a lot of physical tension. I mean, as well as their inner anxiety and the hyper stress. So I try to let them be aware of that physical tension through checking what they create with brush and ink. Because, I mean, all the therapists, they can talk how stressful, but they have to see it, right? And in Shodo, you see it immediately, what you just have done a second ago. So I find that's very real and effective way for them to see and be aware how stressful they are, like a physical stress. And I want them to also accept that it's just happened and out from their body. And from that point, then I could work with them more like calmly and comfortably. But that's the first sort of iceberg we have to really focus. And then it's get easier and easier by doing the basic movement with the brush. And also I emphasize on breathing. So combining the breathing in and breathing out. So synchronizing whenever they do like a stroke. So breathe in and out, or when they do the circle practice. So I remind them constantly to have conscious breathing. And also, like, here, the tummy, where the belly navel is. So I explain that is the chi, the ki, the inner energy center. So whenever they feel sort of tense or anxious, what they're doing, breathing and focus on the hara, on the tummy. And then it doesn't go automatically, but the body slowly but surely learns to relax and let go. And once it happens, the next session would get much easier because it's more based on the body remembrance. And they know when they do this movement with the breathing and focus on the hara, they can let go deeper and deeper. And then I could see that how they are relaxed, and even like they can say that, like they had no stress in the last half an hour. And that's already really, for me, it's just brilliant moment.
Yeah. So you can see the change in the work that they're doing. Oh, they were very anxious, here. I'd like you to look at some Van Gogh paintings and let us know where the changes. This is where he went a little bit crazy. This is the part.
This is the blockage.
Yeah. Well,
that's fascinating. Yeah.
It's really, yeah. I mean, it's like a meditation practice. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And it's really, I love the idea that you see and you use the word accept, that, okay, this is feeling anxious. I see it here in the work, and to have that acceptance of it is really important, I think.
Yeah. You can see the process as well, visibly.
Yeah.
And every time, every day, it reflects different, because every day we have different mood and state of mind. So I find so fascinating, especially when I work with those people who has particular sort of mental anxiety and sort of stress.
Yeah. And do you work with people online, or is it all person to person?
I do the online courses.
Yeah.
And the sessions, and also one-to-one, because some of them, they need more like a frequent session, especially when they deal with this inner stress and trauma. Yeah. So, I mean, at the beginning, I wasn't sure about doing the online live, let's say around 2019, because I work with a lot with the energy movement. It's not only 2D effect. It's more like, I have to explain how the energy moves this way and this way. But then meanwhile, since the COVID was hit, I sort of experimented and researched what's the best way. I mean, the best I can offer online. And it turned out to be good for me. Like I find of course, it's different from the real session, but I think so far I got the best sort of combination that they can learn the maximum from online. So with 3 cameras, so with one camera, it's really focuses on the movement of the brush, so they can envisage and try this 3D movement and around. So yeah, I got both the online and also in person lessons.
So if they're doing it in person, do they go to you? Do you have like a studio space that they would visit?
I got Atelier Studio in Germany, and I do like a monthly workshop in London, in the central London. And then other cities I go like every month nearby. The rest is online.
Okay.
So that's the current sort of combination.
Can you tell us about the chi energy in the body?
The chi?
Yes, and how it relates to the calligraphy.
Have you done any like martial arts? Like judo, aikido? Do you do that, or have you done it?
I've done some Wing Chun a while ago.
Right.
And I did practice some Tai Chi.
So you know about the chi, right? And other?
I do jiu-jitsu.
So you got the frame what the chi is about, right?
Yeah.
But it's also still it's abstract, because normally you don't see it. You have like absolute moment. Oh, that was really like the chi was really light and flowy.
Yeah,
but
I
you
felt
don't
it.
really. Yeah, you have definitely that moment, right? So in the calligraphy, then it's when the chi flows light and like flowy, then it shows, and you have the visible sort of process. But often before my course or session, I do, like after the body exercise to release the tension, I often combine the stage to activate the chi. So, and then let them also feel their own chi. And that's, I find, it's a key, because otherwise it's a bit too abstract idea. So, I mean, I'm not going to show the details, but, like I show how to activate with the fingertips, and I show extra movement, and then I let them do like without the skin contact, like this, after a certain movement, they would feel the warmth from the fingertips, like the chi. And after activation, it's get really warm, and you can't miss it. I mean, depend on the sort of health condition, but one would normally feel the warmth coming out, pouring out from your fingertips. And then I explain, like how the chi from the hara flows through the chest and shoulder and elbow and wrist and hand and the fingers, as the way of the chi, how they flow. And that helps. I do it every time as a routine. And I ask them to do this process even when they practice at home and on their own. So they are aware of this, the chi energy, because the way I teach, it's more like a bringing this chi flow out of the body and then make it visible on the paper. So I want them to at least envisage the flow, and that's why here should be relaxed. Otherwise, there is always the blockage, and you see the line is very rough and etchy. And when you're relaxed and breathing and very calm, the line became much lighter and smoother. So that's sort of the measurement I always remind the learners to check and then also proceed. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
I know it's a bit nerdy, right?
Could you tell us about the brush strokes and the different type of brush strokes?
So there are like two basic strokes. One is more like the side brushing, sokuhitsu. So the brush moves full contact but against the paper. Maybe I have it here. So it's very thick and powerful. And the other one is the direct brushing, that is so chokuhitsu. So the brush goes this way. So maybe it's better to show you like this. That would be the basic. And then, so bending up and bending downwards. So even for this, just to understand how you move with your chi energy, when you go up and down and up, that's also important. So always breathe in and out. So that's one of the foundational strokes. And then combination comes and then changes differently.
So when you're doing a brush stroke and you're breathing, you're paying attention to your breath. I assume you have a relaxed posture.
Yeah. And here as well. No?
Yeah.
But it's also paying attention to like every hair. I mean the brush.
On
so
the brush,
how they react to your movement and to your the chi movement.
Wow.
Because we don't really twist the hand or the brush. The brush always stays upright. So only the hair mainly moves. And that's often in the Western calligraphy or painting, we don't use the brush like that way. We always change the direction, twist or turn. So first, they have to understand it's only the hair, and the brush is actually following your energy flow rather than your body is conducting the brush. So that's the really big difference. And once you got this light flow and, like the feeling that definitely the brush is really reacting to your energy flow, then it's get lighter because the body also get relaxed even more, and you learn to focus on your tummy a lot deeper. And that's already, even you don't see it immediately, you can definitely see through the line and details. And then it's get lighter and lighter. So even the lines get more alive and has this particular lightness. So yeah, it's a very unique process.
Yeah. And how, go ahead.
So, I was just thinking, people who come with particular traumas and issues that they're dealing with, do they see those reflected on the page when they're drawing, writing calligraphy?
Yes. And I could point out, let's say, if the particular angle, let's say the top left, whenever you go to the top left, there is the sort of cut of a block in the line or movement. It could be often your physical tension or trauma. So one could really see, and I could point out, and then they accept, and then through certain movement, the line gets lighter. And that's one of those very small steps, but they would have much calmer moment, and they would feel, well, less traumatized. So it could be also mental and also the physical. It often can be both. And that's the longer process to get better and get lighter. But I could see so many cases. It went much quicker than I expected. And that's really nice to see how they heal. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful, because a lot of times people don't even know that they have these traumas. They're repressed, and then they don't know how to express them in a healthy way. So it seems like they're able to express it in this beautiful way and look at it and have this acceptance.
Yeah.
How has calligraphy been a sort of healing tool in your life? And can you talk a little bit of your beginnings of on this journey as well?
Well, the very beginning, I started at the age of 5 because my grandma was a calligrapher, and she taught me how to do this art, but in a more creative way, because often when the kids learn shodo, they go really like strict posture and everything, and all the stroke orders. But that's how, well, my grandma taught me more creative way. And there I continued. And I started teaching, more like helping to teach with my other calligraphy teacher, the children's classes and so. And in London and Europe, I started also teaching on my own, mainly like private lessons. And I was teaching the way I got taught by my calligraphy teacher. But then I soon realized that even that hardworking learners and beautiful final work, it lacked some the more like inner dynamics on the calligraphy piece, because they are focused on too much and the techniques, and so was I. So that's the moment I sort of reconstruct the way I teach and experimented and researched. And then I came up with this certain sort of steps with the breathing and also releasing the tension of the mind and body and the connection with the chi energy. So the brush and the key comes together. And that way, they became more mindful during the process of learning Shodo. And the result, I mean, it's in the Shodo, it's not much about the result, but you could clearly see, the dynamics in their work, and also their fulfillment after the session. So I'm really glad that I switched the way I teach. That was a struggle, but I think in the last 10 years, the basics was made, and I'm still sort of developing that, but I think it helped many people. Does it make sense?
Yes.
I know it's a bit sort of...
I think that's a beautiful way, is when you learn from a teacher and master, and then you ask the question, how can it be expressed through me? Which is a totally unique way, and it comes through you naturally. And in that way, like you said, you're always developing, you're always learning. It leads to growth with yourself, and also, I guess, with your students, because you must see remarkable results from your students, and you learn from your students as well.
Yeah, definitely, big time. Yes. Yeah.
So when I think of calligraphy and I looked at your work, to be honest, I get intimidated.
Why?
Because I'm constantly distracted on my phone. Like there's all these distractions. Like just picking up a pencil nowadays, it's like a new thing. Like, wow, like I remember these things. I haven't felt one of these in a while. And then writing, with the pencil, it's like I've almost forgotten a little bit, how to do it. So when I think about calligraphy, I think about like just the being present, and and the being present, and it's a little bit scary for me, the level of focus.
Really?
Yeah. So but I'm also very much attracted to it, as you have been talking about it, and how it can be a good tool for people like me to help people, to be more present, to be more relaxed. And do you find that does it take them a while to adapt to this sort of this art?
I think when one learns, when they are guided sort of properly, the first session is a bit tricky one, but it doesn't take long, because as you said, like holding the pencil, this the sense-based experiences, activating the senses and open the senses, that always calms us down. And that's why I always use like heavy inkstone and the ink stick. That's also the texture and the paper. And while you prepare the sumi ink, okay, you combine the breathing, but you see the water changing into the darker tone, and you smell the scent of ink, and you also feel this organic texture of the stone and the paper. And the whole experience, I think for us, it's always the calming effect. And even when one is more stressed or hectic, then I ask them to take longer time. So just, calming down and arriving. Because sometimes, when you are between two appointments and come to the calligraphy session, it's need time to just arriving here and now, right? And the analog sensor-based process, I find it is really effective. So then your body learns through this movement, you are closer to the calmness. So every time when you repeat the same process, it doesn't matter how hectic, stress you are, your body learns to switch, and it's get quicker and quicker. And it is fascinating to see and witness, even those, the hyperactive, anxious types.
And would you say that the calligraphy practice begins to spill over into everyday life? Like when you're washing the dishes, then you're feeling like, because of doing this practice, maybe you're being more aware of the water. And is this what I'm trying to say? Is this a sort of, can it be a portal into how you live your life?
It's definitely, opens your awareness. Even when you pick up a tool or utensil, you become mindful. It doesn't matter only the calligraphy or creating the lining or the character with a calligraphy method. Once you learn that sort of how to be more mindful, that's definitely a good benefit for our daily life. So even like the way you open the door or the way you pick up the pen, instead of going like this, you go more gently and softer, and you pay attention to what you are doing or what you are touching or what you are, moving or action. And this connection, it's always there in our daily life. And I think that's many who learn the calligraphy, they transform that element into their lives, I think. That's why, they like to continue practicing because of that, the calm moments, and more like being aware, being reminded again of that mindfulness sort of stages or process, I find.
And in terms of the continuing practice, how long does it take to and I guess there's maybe no exact time, but to do a symbol?
That's a big question. Well, let's say in the workshop for the beginners, after doing those preparation and the basics like strokes and movement, then I have one template with the characters, more simple one. 3 hours, then you have the sort of ideal process as a tryout. So, but that's the beginning.
Yeah. Also, so could like the characters. Actually, can I bring up some of your work? Is that okay? I have it here on my.
Which one? I wonder.
It's calligraphy works from your website. It's let's see. Okay. Do you see it?
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. Is this okay to show this?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Well, hold on. Let me pause. I just wanted to show some of your work just so that our viewers get an idea of what we're talking about. And I forget the name of this red character on the bottom or stamp. That's like an official.
That's the red one.
Yeah.
So that's my stamp. It says Rie Takeda as full name.
Oh, okay.
So it's like for the calligrapher, stamp or stamping the name is more like at the final complete stage when you finish the artwork.
Okay.
So you put your like the peace of mind as a last sort of mark.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, that's it. I'm not. I mean, can you continue? Like, if we're looking at this character,
right?
Do you go, which is, I mean, it's really beautiful. All of your work is just amazing. But like, do you go over a part, like, or do you? Does that make like? Can you brush over something? Like, do you go back and forth?
No.
Okay.
One ink, one chance.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's
Wow.
the thing with the calligraphy. You don't go back and correct and make sort of brushing up. That's not. That's why like you prepare and practice a lot. Okay. And then you do like the final piece. It's like really like you sweat so much.
Yeah. So there might be a whole bunch of crumbled pieces of paper.
Exactly. Yeah. Because one has to be very critical when you do the professional work.
Yeah. Wow. So that's all one stroke, brush stroke.
And if you don't like it, you just have to try another one.
Yeah. That's amazing.
So that's the one flow, one ink process. And
so are there two different types of brush strokes in this? You had mentioned the one like the side and
well, because this is more like as a calligraphy work, and I wanted to use very thick brush with very solid matte lining. So this is all the combination of all diverse movement, brush movement, and the techniques.
Okay.
So the two strokes I showed you is like the basics you start to learn with.
Okay, so those are the two for us beginners.
Yeah.
And what are these on?
This was on the treated wooden pieces, and they are done. I got the commissioned work this by, the Kyudo. Kyudo is the Japanese archery, the art of from the Kyudo Association. So I think they're using it for their practice. That was and I thought that was a great idea. Rather than, printing out from some companies that was originally calligraphed.
Not as a target.
No, I think that's no.
Okay. This one is beautiful. Is this the board? Did you do the border on this red, or is this a paper?
That's only the background of that.
Okay.
Artwork. Yeah. Yeah, you can really experiment and create a lot of styles as a calligraphy artwork.
Yeah.
Because that's the fun part of calligraphy.
I assume this is you.
This is your hand. my hand. Craftsman's hands.
Yeah. And can you talk about what this character is?
This character, you picked really good one. That's the Do. So Do for Shodo or Aikido. Do is the path or the way. Or the Tao. So the way, well, because it's the path, we always move forward, go forward. So often translate as the path as life. But it's the path or the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was interested in what you said before about the archery and the calligraphy. I remember reading I think it was a Zen koan, and there were two masters, one of calligraphy, one of archery.
Oh, really?
Talking about the similarities of their preparation.
But the essence is the same, right?
The essence, yes.
yeah. That's as we said, this transparent mind, the Mushin is, you see every Do arts like the Kyudo or Judo or Shodo. Yeah.
I found, I was once watching a man, I was on holiday, and he was doing calligraphy on the street with a big brush with water.
On the concrete?
On the concrete.
That's brilliant.
And we watched him for maybe 45 minutes. So he was going down the street, and as he was going down, of course, the earlier ones evaporated. But it was in how he was doing it.
Yeah.
It was in his movements were so graceful and elegant that I watched this. This must have happened in almost 20 years ago.
Right.
I remember exactly where I was. I remember this person and the effect I think it had on me just watching this.
It's amazing.
You speak about just that, just the beauty of watching it and the movements of the body.
Well, I think if one is interested in calligraphy or like to experience what calligraphy is, the best is, to start with, the best to watch a good calligrapher doing the calligraphy, more like a mindful calligraphy, not like the technical type, but the mindful calligraphy with their full energy and the body in sync. And even you don't participate, the effect which, like by seeing this flow and movement, it's already healing, I find. Like you can really feel how the energy moves up and then flowing one to another, and really like the dancing, right? And that's, I find it's a nice way to get the essence of calligraphy to start with. And then the best, of course, you try by yourself. But to have this, as you said, you remember the feeling and the movement and the present moment of the brush and movement. I think that really helps when they try out the first time with a brush and ink. Yeah.
And also, I think it was he was taking such time. I guess it was the impermanence of the evaporating calligraphy, and he's moving on. And it was a life lesson for me at that particular time as well.
And then nothing lasts forever, right? So especially with the water calligraphy, it's there, but then it disappears. And it's got certain this life cycle momentum feeling when you do calligraphy, because you never go back to what you have done or what you calligraphed. You always move on and let go. So I think it's very particular feeling. Yeah.
So you let go. So do you ever go back to any of your work and you're like, oh, I don't like that one. I wish I would have done something different there. Is it different, from, other I'm a filmmaker, so certain films I'd watch and critique and, I can't believe I should have edited this part out,
Well, because with calligraphy, then you stamp and you write a name, but it doesn't mean it's the best forever. It's just the best of that process, or from that day, or from one process, like the project.
Yeah.
So you have freedom to go back to the best of that time, and then develop further. So every student, they stamp and write a name, but they can practice and develop further the same character, but then you see total different characters.
Yeah.
Because the input is updated technically, also the energy movement is more evident. So it's a bit different from the oil painting or acrylic painting that you can always sort of add the tone or change. The calligraphy, then you restart again. So all those let go processes always there.
Yeah.
But it's within you, and it's more like a reflection of your inner journey in a way. Because you remember how you done this piece a few years ago, and then you go back and then continue that journey, a totally different face and different energy. And that's why I say it's this art is like lifelong. It's never like the the perfect.
Yeah.
Okay,
And it's really interesting because that's the way life is, that we may learn certain things, whatever it is. Let's use meditation, for example. We may or some technique. We may use it for a while and be a beginner at it, or even have done it for a long time, but then we don't say, okay, well, that has lost all usefulness because I've done that before. That now you can do it again, but you are a different person now, and you will get different things from that, different lessons. Yeah, I think that's an important teaching.
Totally. Yeah.
I just wanted to say, any viewers, if you have comments, you can leave them in the comment section of the Facebook video, just so you know. And I was thinking, maybe can you talk a little bit about the history of calligraphy, whatever you may know about that? Like, where did it start?
Well, it's more than 3,000 years ago. It's from the China, and then it's brought to Japan, and it's developed. So every calligraphy styles, it's been developed. So in the last 1,000 years, And sometimes the trendy style is there because of the court and their dynasties favors them, and then moves on with alongside the history. But let's reflect the history, how it was, and the trend, and also the literature. Especially in the Japanese calligraphy, like those haiku poetries or those tanka poetries. That's also they developed this particular flowy hana styles. Whereas, the classic, more like a male hand calligraphy was more like a bold and dynamic and strong. So in the 9th, 10th century, when the court ladies create a lot of the poetries and the literature, they use total opposite style of more like light, delicate, flowing style. So there's always the reflection of what it was on. And it's a lot to learn. If you look up all the images of calligraphy styles from the last 1,000 years, it's really massive archive. But it also shows the possibility what one can do with calligraphy technique. So let's say if you like to express, let's say, a fish in hot summer afternoon, for example, after you learn all those techniques, and you'll be also learning artistic input. So like a jumping fish or very relaxing swimming, flowy swimming type fish, you are able to express this detailed image of fish or the pond or the water movement. And that's really fascinating. When you look at my paintings, so they are more like not always classic style calligraphy, but it's composed to express the meaning of the poetry as well. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right.
That's
sorry, I was on mute.
I thought so.
This is a poem.
That's another.
Okay. So I don't know if this matches to what you were just talking about.
Yeah, pretty much. In the colorful color works, I often deform the calligraphy characters and then redesign, rebuild.
Yeah.
So it fits to the composition and also the meaning or the atmosphere of that work. So it's more like an artistic input in the calligraphy rather than the classic particular styles. So that's the difference when I paint this painted poem series with the colors and the patterns.
Yeah, these are beautiful. They're just wow. And what is this? Can you tell us what this poem says?
It says it's about sort of it's the future is open. So future is bright for us. And there is sort of hidden word game. When you look up the patterns lining up the circles, spirals in the background, it's you see 8, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just the circling 8.
Yeah.
And these 2 fish, the tail is open towards left and right, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's the trace in the Japanese character means 8. And the 8, the kanji 8, is symbolizes good fortune and also open future because the tail is open at the bottom. So more like infinite future. Keeps opening. So the future is bright. That was sort of the hidden sort of word game when I painted this.
Yeah. See, me looking at it, I wouldn't have known. So it would be
the insiders.
Yeah, the insiders. So, yeah. Wow.
Have you seen people be emotionally moved by your paintings, but they may not understand why, but emotions have come out just looking at your work?
Yeah, sometimes without them knowing the meanings, right?
Mm.
Yeah. I think that's, for me, it's the good compliment as an artist and calligrapher, I think. That means they got this, like the essence of the artwork.
Intuitive.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is interesting. It's almost like pointillism, but it's more of like a pixelated thing going on.
Loads of them.
Wow. So yeah, you did each little square. Yeah.
No Photoshop.
No.
The analog.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Oh, thank you for sharing. That was good to see.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Go ahead. Sorry.
The reason for the use of certain colors. There was one with the 2 fish, which was red, and it looked like a yellow sun, a yellow ball. Is there a particular reason behind using a particular color at a time?
I mean, I used to create the seasonal collection. So often spring, summer, autumn, winter, and often reflected the feeling of the season. So from the springtime collection, you see more the pink, purple, orientated, like the springy colors and the feeling and the flowers. And summer, more like a blue, colder tones. And the winter is more like a reddish, orangey. That's the base. And the fish, well, either more like a red, very striking, warm colors, or I think 1 or 2 I did very bluish fish. It depends on the contrast, how I, also the first idea. And I like to use a lot of contrast as well. And the patterns, so the motifs, decorative side as well. Yeah, it's all different, right? When you look at the color works. It's sometimes a bit more abstract, sometimes a bit more flowy, flowery. Yeah.
I wanted to go back to something you said before was that you do the brushstrokes in one go.
Right.
Have you found that maybe after finishing a piece of work, it may have looked like a mistake, but on second and third viewing, you've seen something that you didn't see the first time?
When it comes to calligraphy artworks, it's much less of those, the second discovery, because it's supposed to be all planned and designed with how you make the roughness, dryness of the brush by using the energy movement. It's much less, it's more like really, well, sometimes because when you have to deal with the energy movement up, so the line gets just minimum dry effect. Even I plan to do it, sometimes it's positive surprise. So, like it's get a bit more 3D effect. But if it's negative, I have to do it again. I mean, when it comes to the ink artwork. Yes. Yeah.
And is there a difference between, because I'm left-handed, in the way you hold the brush and the movements and the design of the strokes? Is there a difference if you're left-handed or right-handed?
Not really. Traditionally, the calligraphy teachers didn't want to teach the left-handed, so they have to ask you to switch to the right hand, even you don't feel comfortable. So when I teach, I don't do that. So you to learn particular technique a bit different, because when you use the left hand, there's some sort of dead corner you cannot see. So you have to concentrate more on the senses than the right hand. It's just it's mirrors the technically movement wise as well, but not in the sense you mentioned. So you will learn how to move with your left. But often when I do the circle practice, for the left-handers, they would be a lot more comfortable if they do the circling counterclockwise.
Yes.
When you do the circle practice, for the right-handers, it's like the clockwise. And then for the left-handed, it's opposite. And that's, I think, naturally, that's how our physical tendency is built, right? I mean, 98%, not all of them, but I mean, have you noticed that when you do?
Yeah. I wish there was someone like you when I was in primary school, because when I was writing left-handed, so of course my hand is going over the work when I write it, and it's smudging the work. So they're trying to teach you to write like a left-handed person, or they put you in really odd positions that you have to.
And then you have a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
It's not fun, right?
And
that's true.
Yeah, and so if someone like you was there, and just a different approach to looking at it, and also I just imagine that if when I was younger we saw the beauty in what we were writing, and we were present, it would have totally changed how we wrote. We're not just writing. There's something really beautiful in the strokes and how you do it, and the whole way you hold your pen. The presence.
Yeah,
I think that would be remarkable to just for any young person in school anyway, just to begin with that.
Yeah, definitely, without being corrected too much. So it's more like lighter, more organic way, I think, and it's really calm them down. The kids. It's really good idea. Yeah.
A little bit of a what type of, do you use paint? Is that what you usually use for calligraphy? And
the brush, you mean?
No, just like I'm guessing you use paint.
It's
is it ink
the
or
ink? That's
okay?
the ink.
What type of, is there a specific, do you have like buckets of ink, that you go through?
So the calligraphy ink you can buy ready-made. So it's totally thick and dark. But in my class, I often let them create the ink. So that is, you haven't tried it. It's like you put the water in the, let me just get that. So it's like this. Sorry, it's a bit dark. Right? And this is the ink stone, and this is the ink stick. So this is the stick. It's made out of, it's basically like a charcoal of the delicate wood, like the cherry tree and so. And then they made it like the block. Yeah. And basically you put the tap water into the stone, only a little bit. And then, as I mentioned, creating the ink is basically with the block, you go into the water and then out. So you continue this movement, but without putting any pressure from your dominant shoulder. So it's almost like a massaging.
Yeah.
That's what I said. Then you see that water is turning into the darker ink, but the process, you see it from your eye, in front of your eyes. And after 10 minutes, you have ink, handmade, hand-wrapped ink.
So where does the ink come from?
You mean ink stick?
Oh, that's ink? That's an ink stick.
That's the key element.
Okay. So that
it's like the slit. It's the dark powder of the wood. Right?
Oh wow!
So it's when you burn like the charcoal.
Yeah.
But more like the delicate wood, like the cherries.
Okay.
And then they use the, how do you call it? Niwaka? That's the protein from between the skin, animal skin, often cow skin. So it's like then they are able to make it into the shape or paste. So it's like the bread. So they really massage hours. And then they let them dry for months long. And then you have this. And you can really make ink. As long as you have stone and water, you can create the ink more grayer, darker stone, a darker tone or lighter. So but often the problem is, even in Japan, in the calligraphy lessons or calligraphy school, they don't do this process anymore because it takes at least 10 minutes to have medium toned ink. So they shortcut that process. And then they have ready-made ink. And that's, I find so pity. Because the kids, they love this process of making the ink, and it's really calm them down.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether they're hyperactive kids or not. They are able to sit and create the ink. So I do that, even it's heavy to transport. I always ask them to do like experience, also to open the senses, because then you can also smell what you're creating is the scent of ink, and you see the color changes. And this movement, like when you combine, like breathe in and out, it's switching off your thoughts and disturbance in the head. And I find it's really nice and effective process.
Yeah, it looks like fun, having the stone and doing that process
Totally.
is rather than just pouring the ink.
Yeah.
What you do has reminded me of a quote, and I don't know who says it. He said, if I had 6 hours to chop a tree, I would spend 5 hours sharpening the blade. And I love how it's the preparation which is so important. And we can take that to anything that we do. And that preparation gets you into the moment.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the great lessons that I'm getting here from you. It's the time just to be aware of your surroundings, be aware of the tools you're using, be aware of the instruments, even the feel of the paper.
Yeah. This gives enormous effect, I think.
Yeah.
As human, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we live in a world where we want instant everything, instant gratification. We're on our phones looking at videos.
The plastic and the metals.
Yeah. There's so many apps for everything, like to prepare, to, take that moment to kind of settle and relax before you do something is something that I don't think much of us do anymore. And I think it takes a toll on our nervous system because we're bombarded with information over sensory load, and we rarely have time where we sit and take a breath and relax a little bit. And so it because collectively a lot of us, not all of us, we have people like you and others that are doing this important, I look at it as important work, this art, but a lot of, I think, this overload on our senses is manifesting in a lot of emotional imbalances, depression, anxiety, a lot of there's just a lot of the things that are going on in our world that are not very good, for everyone. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah, definitely.
Ade and I have talked a lot about on this show and previous shows about the trauma that we grew up with, emotional issues that we have. In your imagination now, we can take calligraphy out to the world. What would you like to see happen?
The healing aspect.
Yes.
I'm not talking like energy and heal, it's more like each individual's healing process. That could be good. Even just a moment of peace or harmonious connection within oneself. I think that's what it counts. Because without that, you cannot deal with others, right? And I think the calligraphy, the process, the way, in the mindfulness way, if one can do calligraphy, and also with a good guidance. So they are able to see the pain and reflect and let go and make it sort of visible. That's, I think, has the healing effect. So sort of each individual would find more like the moment of peacefulness or harmony would be good.
And yeah,
would be if I had a chance. Yeah.
And you know, my sort of, I don't know, when I would think about calligraphy, as I had mentioned before, I'd always get intimidated and think that there's going to be someone standing behind me with a stick, that if I do something, they hit me. What are you doing? I don't know. I might have seen that in a movie or Kurosawa or something, or like.
Oh my
God! But like, is there humor and laughter in calligraphy in some way, and just the process, and even okay.
It's more about the process rather than creating the result.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So, and that's so many, we are built to, you know, like consider too much about the result or make it good and it's not good. And it's, I always say it's not that important. It will follow later, but you know, the process. Just one moment you feel, wow, that was really like light and was nice flow, and you see that was beautiful flow in paper, and that counts more than the, you know, the correct proper piece of final work, I find. And that's, I try to emphasize that every time when I teach, because otherwise it's, you know, then our analytical mind it's always there, and you know, like keep talking to you, and that's I don't think you need that, you know.
Yeah, and I have that analytical, competitive mind. Is my calligraphy better than this person? I want to.
You have to let it go, right?
This brushstroke must be better than this person I'm in class with. Yeah,
that's often people start with that, and then slowly they would learn to let go, and you know, like more like be in this moment, present moment. Yeah, and that's possible. It's not a long way. You need a long time. Yeah, you should try.
Yeah, no, I'm really, you know, that's going to be my other question, as we're coming at like an hour and a half. So,
all right,
yeah, and I'm interested in the workshops and everything, and also in how would one get started? Like, what would someone need? You talked about the ink block, I think it's called. Is it a?
So the ink stone and the ink stick and the water normally we have, and the paper and the brush. So one could get it from online or art suppliers, but if one like to try, okay, this could be the key, but if one can't have it, one could just watch how it's done, and the actual materials as alternative, then maybe the biggest, longest brush for watercolor if you have at home, and the water-based black pigment color instead of the ink, and then more like a sketch drawing paper, more like thinner drawing paper. Then you don't have to really set up and buy the whole shebang.
Yeah,
that would be alternative. Like that's how many like a kids classes they use, instead of, you know, the fine calligraphy paper, they use the art drawing paper and so.
Yeah, so that's not as intimidating. I was thinking you were going to say you got to get the brush from the mountaintop and you have to get a certain piece of wood and mold it into it.
Yeah, of course, then once you try and then decide to continue, of course, I would always recommend to have the real, because you can rub the ink and so, but like sometimes one likes to try out, right? I mean, you can always ask your maybe the artist friends or Japanese friends, maybe they have the old set at home. You can just borrow it as well.
Okay.
One time.
We do have a question from our one of our viewers, Alice Rupp. And Alice asks, well, she says, wonderful discussion. Can you comment on the type of paper you use? Is it I'm going to pronounce this wrong, is Shuen? Shuen, S-H-U-E-N? S-H-U-E-N?
U-N?
U-E-N.
U-E-N, Shuen paper. I use the mixture. I mean, for the lessons and workshops, it's the mixture of Maybelline. It's the standard paper. But not like the Hansch paper. And then when I do the artworks, I use this Shuen, and also more thicker paper, which has a lot of mulberry plants fiber. So it's not actually rice paper. In the West, they call it like the calligraphy paper is like a rice paper, but there is no rice grain in it. It's like the bush trees fibers. They make it finer and finer.
And can you get this at like the basic art supply shop, or is there specialty?
The calligraphy paper to practice with. Nowadays, you can get like online, and also the normal standard art supply shops. So if you ask for calligraphy, these and the paper, they should have the standard ones. And the good art supply shops, they could have the various diverse calligraphy papers. So different ink type, or even for the Western ink. So the best is you go and check with your fingertips. Mm-hmm. So that's another sort of experience. But if you're not sure, for practice, the Hanshi calligraphy paper, and for the finer work, like a Shuen paper or other, more like a delicate, finely made paper. But one have to feel it, no? The best.
Feel the paper, and yeah. And what do you, when you're feeling the paper, for someone who's new at this, what are you looking for?
I mean, for the standard practice paper, it's like a bit bigger than A5. Yeah. And I would always ask with your fingertips, both sides. I mean, this is like one of finer standard paper. And that's anyway the process of dealing with calligraphy paper. You always have to check which is the delicate side, because you to use the delicate side on the surface you are calligraphing.
Ah, okay.
So like other diverse fine paper, you also have to check. Yeah. So if there's a gladness is good, what you like to have as an effect, or some paper is a bit more organic rougher, then the ink reacts accordingly. So a bit sort of dry and organic texture, right? So it's a bit hard to decide online. You have to always check the reviews, but the best if you have art supplier, just maybe go and check with your fingertips.
Feel all the paper. Yeah. I mean, I'm learning something new. I didn't know that two sides of the paper are different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Definitely.
So, yeah, we're about an hour and 40 minutes in. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about that we didn't talk about, or anything that?
We talked quite a lot here. I hope I didn't talk too nerdy.
No, this is great. Yeah, I feel like I've learned so much.
Yeah, definitely learning about calligraphy, but I think just as important, it's the life lessons that you talked about that we can take into whatever activity that we're doing.
Yeah,
I think that really has come across. So thank you very much. And I would love to do, when you come to London, please let me know. I think it's a great follow-up for me to do one of your workshops. So
I'm starting from February. Winter is the sort of pause, and then at the end of February, I think, I start like a monthly workshop. So it's for all levels, and it would be not big group, so I could mix the levels, and then I have time to go individually, like showing hands-on. And can I plug my book?
Yes, please do.
Please do.
Nearly forgot. So that would be also good guidance if you have interest or couldn't find a good teacher in your area. So the background and how you activate the key, like we talked about, like how you become aware of the energy. And this book has like a 10 template to practice with. Let's say, like it starts with the easy one, and then I showed always like a pictogram, how this character has been developed thousands of years ago. And then we go like a technical and energy movement, and then the details. So, and also like a breathing. That would be a good sort of introduction, I think.
Great. And what is the title of the book?
Shodo.
Okay.
And the subtitle is The Practice of Mindfulness Through the Ancient Art of Japanese Calligraphy.
Okay.
So it's freshly out already, so you can check in your local online platforms or the good book retailers.
And it'll make a good Christmas gift, folks.
Yeah, exactly. Compact, not big.
Would that be helpful? Because I work with nursery children, and I'm thinking of doing something like this, because in our meditation class we use art as well.
You should.
Yeah. Definitely. I think I will do that next Friday. So yes, I will try that, and I'll let you know how it goes.
That's great. Especially like, the simple one, like the sun or moon, they're based on the pictograms. So for the kids, it's very easy to associate.
Yeah, and Ron, hopefully you can get to the workshop in February when we can kind of maybe create some, do another podcast based off of that experience as well, or something.
So run, trying live.
Yeah, you gotta get some video footage.
This is definitely a follow-up. I will be there in February. If when you come over, let's keep in contact. I will come along. I would really love to meet you and to actually practice some calligraphy, and then we'll talk about it on the show, Ade.
Yeah, sounds good.
And so where can people find you? We'll put all the links on the Facebook page and in the YouTube videos, which I haven't uploaded. And I tell
maybe like a website or Instagram account or Facebook. But Instagram it's quite active because I keep the track of like a project and the teaching workshops.
Oh, great!
And the website address. So I send you the links.
Yeah. And can you say them now, just for our viewers?
So www.shodocalligraphy.com.
Okay. And the IG?
You mean the Instagram?
Yeah.
At I think Neo-Japonism Atelier.
I have it here, I think.
Is it at Neo-Japonism Atelier? Then should come Rie Takeda.
Okay. Yeah, and we'll put the links too. So don't worry for the viewers if you didn't get if you didn't write it down.
Oh yeah, Neo-Japonism at Instagram. Yeah, www.instagram.com/Neo-Japonism Atelier.
Atelier, yeah.
But we'll put the links onto when we post it.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Brilliant.
So,
thank you for your time.
We could go on, but
and hearing my stories.
Thank you so much. This has been great. I do want to find out for myself. I want to learn about the online stuff because I can't go to London. I don't know if you ever do a workshop in New York.
The daughter, my stepdaughter lives in New York.
And does she do
since last year?
Yeah.
So it's definitely an option.
Okay. Does she do workshops and things like that, or?
No, she doesn't. But as she's there, I would like to visit her.
Yeah.
So if the opportunity is right, I could maybe, find a venue or combine. We'll see.
Yeah, I think it would be pretty good if you do it in New York.
No? When I'm anyway there.
You planted a seed, Ade.
Yeah. And thank you for our viewers.
Keep watering.
Yeah. Thank you to all of our viewers, everyone watching. And even though the show's ending, you can still leave comments and I'll forward them or questions. Thank you, everyone. And
thank you.
Thank you.